Hey, so it's been another year of making these YouTube videos and so much has happened this year. I moved into this new apartment and I did things on this channel I don't think I've ever done before. I worked with another designer on a project video for the first time. I filmed in more public locations than I've ever done before, which has always made me uncomfortable. And working with Overwork, we brought the iPhone standby dock to production, marking this as the first time I've ever worked with a print farm, which was so cool. Oh, and we crossed 500,000 subscribers. That is wild. Thank you all so much for the support. And I'm very proud of the videos and projects this year. Not to give myself too much credit, but I've made some of my all-time favorite videos this year, and I'm so excited to share with you the new tools I got to help level up my content creation. Okay, so for the tools I got for filming. For starters, my videos are now in 4K. And even though the old A7C can shoot in 4K, it was time to upgrade. So after 3 years, I got a Sony FX3. This has been my dream camera for a while now. I won't get into all the specs, the amazing colors, and detailed reasons why I made this upgrade, but I'll share two of my favorite things about this upgrade so far. The old A7C used to use a Bluetooth shutter remote, which is so dumb. Many of the time lapses I made in the past would skip or have jitters because the shutter remote would lag. With the FX3 and the wired remote, all my time lapses now are just buttery smooth. And the camera also makes it very clear it's recording. You have no idea how many times I missed footage because I thought my A7C was recording, but really the battery died or I forgot to hit the record button or something. Now there's an attachment on here from SmallRig. It's a quick release system for their Magic Arm. I use it for a camera monitor. I'm just using a cheap monitor here. It's the same one from my iPhone 3D scanner project years ago. Nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. If you guys have recommendations for a better one though, let me know in the comments. I like this arm setup because it keeps my whole setup fairly lightweight. I'm not really a big fan of those super rigged up camera setups with the cages and everything. And this also allows me to continue using my Sony shotgun mic through the digital audio interface or whatever. Next is I stopped using SD cards. I now use CFX Express Type A memory cards. This was a pretty expensive upgrade, but the transfer speeds are just wild. It's 4 times faster than the SanDisk Extreme Pro cards I used to use. So these have been an absolute game changer. They do require a dedicated card reader though, which is kind of annoying, especially when I'm traveling, but I think it's worth it. Now, while I was traveling, I also fell in love with these new batteries I got for my camera and accessories. They both allow for charging via USB-Cs, which means I no longer need to travel with all these giant battery chargers. So they've been super helpful. Okay, so for the lenses I've collected so far, they've been pretty basic, but this year I really dove into some more unique lenses. First up, we got this 10mm f2.8 lens, and it's just so wide. Like, look at how long my fingers look. And I love that I can get super close to it and it doesn't lose focus at all. It's perfect for vlogging and it's just such a fun lens. So I was able to get so many cool and unique shots, all thanks to this lens. Next is this probe lens. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hard to use. It has an aperture of f14, which means you need a crazy amount of light for it to work. It does have a light at the end of its probe, but it doesn't really produce the most natural lighting, so I don't really use it. Now, the lens needs to be used on a slider or a tripod because you need it to be very still when you film. And that's why it's so hard to use, but the shots are just out of this world. Now, to fix the shaky footage from not just the probe lens, but a lot of my handheld footage I filmed this year, what's really helped me is this tool called Topaz Video AI. It's just so much better than any of the other video stabilization tools I've used. I'm definitely starting to dabble more in these AI tools. I also used Photoshop's generative fill earlier this year to fake people into my time lapses to make it look like I was filming in a busy coffee shop when in reality it was completely empty. Moving on, the next thing I invested in is a better storage solution. Before, I just backed up all my videos on these little drives, which makes accessing old projects super annoying. Not a safe approach too, because these aren't exactly designed for long-term storage. So now I'm backing up all my projects, videos, and data on my very own Synology 5-bay NAS. So when I found out Synology had an office here in Washington, I reached out to them and was like, hey, and they sent me this whole thing. They included 5 Synology hard drives and a 10 gigabit Ethernet networking card. So basically now I have my own 40 terabyte Google Drive-like service. I can access it online wherever I am, while also having the speed of a hard connection when I'm at home. I've been wanting one of these for so many years now, so shout out to my brother and Synology for helping me set this whole thing up because I really don't know anything about this stuff. Okay. With my new apartment's layout and the lower ceilings, I need to move my lights around much more, and the old stand just isn't working for me anymore. The wheels constantly get caught in the cable, it's hitting into my walls and furniture all the time, so this is the new light stand I got. It's basically like a C stand, except it takes up way less footprint, especially compared to my old stand. If you take off the grip feet around the base, it actually has a felt-like texture underneath, so this basically lets you push it around and slide it around. It's definitely not going to be easier to push around compared to wheels, but this way it never gets caught in the cables, and visually this is way more discreet. All right, now let's talk about the tools for making stuff. I want to start with something that instantly earned a spot in my drawer the second I saw it. It's from the sponsor of this video, Fantic, and it's their Fantic E1 Next workstation. I've always said that an electric screwdriver makes working on 3D printers, electronics, and just so much more fun. Well, if you're looking to grab one, I can't recommend this kit enough. It's pretty much an all-in-one workstation. You get this work mat with magnetic areas for holding your screws, and look at where the electric precision screwdriver is stored. Not only is this ejection design crazy satisfying, but a small detail I fell in love with is that if you drop it in straight, the screwdriver is heavy enough to lock it back in place, and that's just so satisfying. The attention to detail is amazing. Also very functional, because at this location, you can now charge the screwdriver via USB-C while the workstation is closed. Now, the workstation contains basically all the tools you need for disassembling stuff. All sorts of prying tools, a bunch of different kinds of tweezers, 60 precision bits held perfectly in these magnetic crevices, and a bunch of other tools. But my favorite thing has got to be the storage area. I often work on projects across multiple days, which leads to me losing a lot of screws. This area perfectly stores them, and I love that you can just close the whole thing up at the end of the day for safekeeping and open it the next day to continue from exactly where I left off. Everything about the Fantic E1 Next workstation's design is just clean, functional, and considerate. It's really the perfect kit for any kind of DIY project, and I managed to get you guys a huge discount. So I'll leave the Amazon link below, but on that page, if you apply the current Amazon coupon of 25% off, then use my code SYJE1Next, you get an additional 15% off on top of that. So that's a total of 40% off. That's a really good deal. So thank you to Fantic for this awesome workstation, for this exclusive discount, and of course for sponsoring this portion of the video. So the most impactful tool for me this year has to be the Bambu Lab X1C. Even though Bambu Lab sponsors my channel a lot now, there was a time when they didn't even respond to my emails. So I actually had to buy the X1C with my own money. Now, Bambu Lab also isn't paying me to say anything about their products in this video, but the only thing I'll say is what really blew me away when I first got it was how fast this printer is. I remember one time I accidentally threw an STL I was gonna print into my old Cura Ender 3 slicer, just because of, muscle memory. And I learned what would have taken my X1C under 6 hours to 3D print. With the exact same settings and everything, my old Ender 3 would have needed 20 hours. Yeah, that's why this 3D printer was such a game changer for me. It really helped me increase my productivity this year, especially with those projects that required large prints. Now, I still recommend the A1 series 3D printers for beginners. They're just reliable and fun to use. I loved making the iPhone standby dock on my A1 Mini. It just also looks better on camera, I find, because it's an open printer. The one thing I hate about the X1C is that it's super hard to light for filming because it's so enclosed. I always have to light it from above, which is super annoying, but I might add some LED lights inside this thing at some point. Maybe. Anyway, I've been pushing myself to draw more this year. There was a time when I used to fill sketchbooks every few months, so I want to get back into that. My daily carry sketchbook now is the white field notes. I love it because I can write the projects I'm working on directly on the cover, so once I collect several of these, it'll be easy to identify the contents of each sketchbook at a glance. All right, finally, let's talk about some stuff I got for my new apartment for productivity, starting with this new desk. It's a solid white ash desktop I got from Desky. My last desk was a butcher block from IKEA, and even though that was really good, I hated that the wood slats in it were so small, so oftentimes they kind of looked like floorboards. I remember after taking some nice photos of the iPhone standby dock, Overwork was like, yo, why did you take these photos on the ground? And yeah, that bugged me a lot. Anyway, this new desktop has much larger slats. Barely even see their seam lines. The wood grains are just gorgeous and the lacquer finish is super durable too. I also like the proportions more too. It's the same width as the IKEA countertop, but just a few inches deeper. And that's helped me a lot with being able to film more on my desk now that I don't have a dinner table. Anyway, after buying this desktop, Desky actually reached out and just sent me a bunch of additional accessories. I'm now using their desk legs, cable management tray with their power bars that fit perfectly into them. They also make monitor stands that matches their desk finishes, but I'm probably gonna give it away. I don't think monitor stands are for me. I like my desk setups a little bit more open, but anyway, I'm gonna do a more focused desk setup video next year because I started designing a bunch of these little upgrades for the desk, so I can't wait to share them with you guys. But next, moving on, we have the new monitor. I finally gave up my super ultra wide and I'm now using the Apple Studio display. I'm not gonna lie, this was a painful transition to make. This monitor compared to the super ultra wide is just way smaller and so much more expensive too, but the build quality is just amazing. I mainly got it though because the colors are just so much more accurate and I was really struggling with color correction before, but now it literally feels like I'm editing on a giant iPad because everything just looks so crisp. There are cheaper monitors out there with accurate colors though, so what really ended up selling it for me is the fact that the speakers on this thing are really good. Oh my god, like they're not studio grade speakers or anything, but for monitors built-in speakers, I was so surprised that they're totally good enough for me to not want dedicated speakers on my desk anymore. So I actually ended up selling my old speakers. I do most of my sound design stuff with headphones on anyway, so it was all worth it to reduce the amount of stuff on my desk. I love my desk setup now. Along with the new monitor, I also got a new keyboard. I had a friend who spoke very highly about low profile mechanical keyboards, so I thought I would give these a try. So far, I really like them. I did have to use some heavier switches though to increase the resistance, or else it just felt way too sensitive coming from a normal profile keyboard. The reason I chose this specific model is for the number pad and the battery life indicator. It bugged me so much on my last keyboard when the battery would just randomly die. So far, I'm having a great experience with this one. Last two things, not really productivity related, but so many of you guys have asked me about this lamp. So this is the lamp from IKEA, part of an amazing collection. It looks great in person, but on camera, when I first got it, it was actually a bit too bright and warm. So I actually took it apart, which was very easy, and replaced the LEDs inside with some Hue smart LEDs. So now it's a smart lamp, and I love some of the strange color combinations I can get out of this thing now. I use it with this dimmer switch I just got, which has been a total game changer actually, because all the lights in my background right now are set perfectly for when I'm filming videos. Not too bright, but looks natural on camera. When I'm not filming, I can easily use the remote to switch to a brighter preset. I have a party scene, I have a dance party scene. This thing has just made relighting my space so much more convenient. Anyway, this is the third year I'm making one of these tools videos, and notice how there are just fewer and fewer tools every year. It's really a good thing because it means that I've made some good investments and I'm still using the tools from previous years, but it also means I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue with this specific video format in the future. I might need to completely change it up next year or do some kind of reset maybe. But anyway, on another note, the giveaway I'm doing with Bambu Lab is still live. If you aren't aware, I partnered with them to give away 4 A1 mini 3D printer combos for free. So if you're interested, learn more about the giveaway on my Instagram or TikTok. Go enter it before it ends next week. And that's it. I hope you all have an amazing holiday and new year. Thank you all for the love and support this year. I have so many exciting projects already in the works for 2025 that I can't wait to share with you all. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.